Namaste, Sat Shri Akal, Adab, good evening. This is Ekta Sehgal Malhotra, founder and chief strategy officer, Motherhood Club. A very warm welcome to all our viewers and our special guest for today, Dr. Nilakshi Roy. Dr. Nilakshi Roy, what do I say about her? A woman par excellence, a great command over the language, has been a teacher or professor for years together. What makes her different and unique is that she is a mother who understands her kids so well that she accepts them for the person that they are. Nilakshi is a rainbow parent. Well, a term which is very new for a lot of us. What exactly does a rainbow parent mean? A rainbow parent is a parent whose children are little different, who are trying to find themselves. In what way, in what manner, I am sure Dr. Nilakshi is in a better position to explain. The month that is going on, besides Father's Day, Yoga Day, Music Day, the month is dedicated to something as we call as Happy Pride Month. Again, something very new for all of us. But change is the only thing which is constant. We all need to know what is changing in the world. Are we get up for the acceptance? Are we able to sensitize ourselves and the environment towards all the changes that are happening? And a lot more. With this, I again welcome Dr. Nilakshi Roy to Motherhood Club. A very warm welcome, Nilakshi. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Ekta, and I hope that you can recognize that the sari that I'm wearing is the one you gave me a few years ago. Your pre-loved sari and once very much loved sari. So thank you for
Absolutely.
that gift, and thank you for
Absolutely.
remembering me on this day, a special day when you have called so many of your guests over to have this chat with me. So
Absolutely.
thanks a ton.
Thank you so much for this love and affection and, wearing that sari which you had liked and, now it's yours. So, Nilakshi, I have introduced you very briefly. Nilakshi is also the spokesperson for the organization called Sweekar, which is working towards sensitizing rainbow parents and all of us also. Who is a rainbow parent? What does Sweekar do? What's your role in it? And above all, you as a rainbow parent, there is so much that you know about this whole concept because you have lived it, you are living it. Please enlighten all our viewers and me also, because as a parent, while my kid may be very small, but who knows, with a lot of changes in which direction she goes, I would like to enlighten myself and perhaps be more compassionate towards humans at large. So over to you.
I think this is a very right attitude that you have taken, that maybe one exposure to a different set of people or a people you don't know that well will change your mind and make you become more accepting towards everybody. So this is a
Absolutely.
very nice idea that you are thinking of adopting while bringing up your own child, and I hope propagating in your motherhood club as well. So I am a rainbow parent. I am one of the spokespersons of Sweekar Rainbow Parent. Nearly all of us active members are trying our best to engage with as many people as we can whenever the opportunity arises, so that we can speak to people, share our experiences with them, share whatever little knowledge we have of the community, of the types of children that we are seeing every day, and the changing mores of society. Where a certain kind of behavior is expected from us parents, a supportive behavior. Okay, so Sweekar Rainbow Parents was formed in 2017, though a few parents of a number of children from the community, from the LGBTQ community, were infrequently meeting in Mumbai, in Bombay then, where they had been attending events along with their children, mothers of gay boys, mothers of lesbian girls. They were meeting from time to time. They knew each other very well. They knew the children of the community very well, but they had not thought by then of forming an organization. But in 2017, a little effort from Sridhar Rangayan, who is the founder director of Kashish International Queer Film Festival, the largest film festival of this kind in Asia, he set aside some money which he had got from crowdfunding, and he decided to go with this because this was the theme of his current film. A film he made with a lot of passion. Um, Somewhat attuned to the story of many children's lives where the father is not very accepting and the mother readily accepts, but the father and mother go into their own journey as soon as the child comes out of the closet. They go into the closet. Okay, so this difficult patch, no one is there to share with them, because no one tells you about these things in our kind of society, not even in Western society. No one helps you and gives you unconditional support when you need it, and there's no manual or guidebook for this kind of parenting. So he decided to support this kind of organization and got these parents together, let them meet from time to time. He supported their meetings in restaurants, gave them, the wherewithal to meet. The whole day you're meeting, you'll need food and stuff. He provided training for them with the help of Humsafar Trust, and the parents got together and gradually they formed a WhatsApp group. Then later, by the time I joined, we had a Facebook page. I joined about 6 months later. Then the number of parents also increased, and we started discovering that we had almost representatives of the entire gamut of LGBTQIA, except probably intersex and asexual. We had all kinds of children with us. Okay, so by and by this group grew and it became international even, and of course it had a national presence. Many people from all over India started connecting with us. We continued to form our most of our bonding through WhatsApp because we were located at different places. But the people from Mumbai, the people from Delhi, the people from the south, Chennai and Bangalore, started meeting from time to time. Okay, Mumbai people met a little more often because we're the ones who formed the organization. Then others started forming. So all over India, we now have a presence. We have members in Pune. We have members in in Nasik and Nagpur, though they have not formed chapters yet, but they are going to. We have members in Kolkata like that. We have a lot of people in different cities and smaller towns who are getting exposed to these kinds of activities that Sweekar is doing, and we are forming groups and spreading awareness about people, lending support to our children and to other parents by offering free, peer counseling over the phone, occasionally meeting the parents, etc. That's what the work of Sweekar is.
Wonderful. So what I sense is, Nilakshi, that the fact that the organization and the representatives are present in so many cities, and I'm going to focus more on India, which means that the acceptance, one, second, to come out in the open and talk about it has increased multifold,
Definitely, definitely.
right? And I
Acceptance
keep
is now much more, people are much more ready with acceptance. They are saying, what acceptance? Of course, we will accept because they are our children. We love them. So the new generation of parents are very, very much more ready to accept and to not accept, to understand their children and to support them, basically, rather than accept. I mean,
absolutely,
they still find the word accept to be a challenge in itself. Why accept? Of course you accept.
after all, they
So
are your own children.
yeah, so you just love, you just try and understand and support, be there for the
Absolutely,
child, basically.
absolutely. Uh, you know, I'm going to just try and phrase my question to you. Uh, as you said, that the current generation or the newer parents,
Yeah.
relatively, are willing to understand and appreciate the preferences, the choices that their child has. But let's go back to the era that you belong to,
Yes.
right? And I'm going to bring in the mother Nilakshi over here. uh, when you got to know that you have become a rainbow parent,
Yeah.
what was your response then, and how did you work towards internalizing and understanding the whole new concept that came to you all of a sudden?
Yeah. So, for people of my generation who have lived with at least two generations of older people with us, living in our family, I have lived with three generations of older people with us, with me, my mother's grandparents, even. Okay, so that means that we had a lot of baggage on our shoulders. So for us to suddenly be exposed to this kind of a situation, despite our education, despite our previous knowledge of the existence of such community, despite our knowledge of the possibility of any child anywhere, belonging to this disposition, we still feel a little threatened because we feel that the child is going to be challenged by society. Even if we are going to accept them, what is going to happen to the child in future? Some of these fears keep surfacing from time to time in our minds. I will not lie, I had these fears too. I thought that my child is a little non-communicative. She is a little hesitant sometimes to speak out her mind. She's quiet, she is very loving, very gentle and kind. The world is going to hurt her. Okay, so that was my fear, that she is going to be hurt by society, rejected by people, shunned from company. She's going to have a difficult time, making friends, or having a family, and all of those things. All of those fears have been proved wrong, luckily to say, Ekta, already. Okay, and within a span of a few years they were all proved wrong. But I did have those fears. Okay, and I personally did not have any other fears as much as this, of a picture of loneliness for my child in future, a picture of rejection in different spheres for my child. That's what I felt. So yeah, so these were my personal challenges. Okay.
Kudos to you, because my experience with the community is very limited,
Hmm.
and the upbringing that each one of us has been given is one to not really accept the change so easily. One,
Yeah. Yeah.
two, the way some part of that community has been portrayed, whether it is in the cinema or in real life that you see,
Yeah.
because unfortunately what you see is the strata which is perhaps below the party line,
Yeah.
right? And that fear of being in front of them or engaging with them, that has been inculcated in our system and is very deep rooted, right?
Correct.
But I think with these kind of conversations, with these kind of organizations and people coming out and talking about it, I think the change will definitely happen. Having said that, uh, do you think people are really comfortable to actually openly say that I am a rainbow parent, or my child has some different preferences than what you really know about? How's that? How's the change happening there?
Um, uh, it all depends on that particular parent and that particular circumstance. Sometimes within a family, a father is more ready to accept the change and move ahead, and a mother lags a little bit behind and then she catches up. Sometimes the reverse happens, like in my case. The father was not vocal about the acceptance like I am. He was accepting, okay, but then he was a little quiet. He took his time to express his acceptance outside or share it with others, like you're saying. you know Yeah, so it took a little time for him. So it often happens like that, that people take a little time, even if they are in the group, they still take a little time. Everyone has his own journey. It's an this whole idea of understanding a child who is different, whether it is a dyslexic child, or whether it is a differently abled child, or whether it is a child from the LGBT community. It is a journey. Okay, and each one has its own. Sometimes you hear of families breaking apart because the child has been born different, you know. So
True.
there are these stories of people not being able to accept that fact, or accept this new version of themselves. Okay, this new version of themselves as a parent challenged by the task of parenting. Okay, so sometimes they're not able to cope with that. It's not a question of this particular child that I'm not able to accept. I'm not able to accept this version of myself, who is struggling. I never thought that I would struggle with parenthood. That's what some people feel. So there are many people who do feel, like this, and they need support from time to time. So in our
Absolutely.
group also, there are many people who stay a little behind or a little quiet. From time to time, we have to give them a nudge. There are our friends. Some of our friends are doing this job very kindly. I don't have that much of time as yet, but many of my friends who are in the group of Sweekar, who were the founders, they keep calling these people and talking to them, and supporting them a lot. It means a lot, Ekta. So those who are on their journey and not yet very sure of how they are going to go ahead or where they are going to go ahead, they do need some support.
Absolutely. I completely agree on that. I think the support is what's going to make them perhaps, kind of internalize the whole thing, that it is absolutely okay. After all, you're dealing with a human being. Just because somebody has a different choice or a different preference, that doesn't make them any less human. uh, I'm just going to read out a few comments from the people who have joined us. And
Sure,
thank you,
sure.
everyone who have joined us. Because normally, when you speak about something which is a little not so regular, people shy away from even hearing it because they feel that, it doesn't impact my life. Why should I watch it? Why should I hear it? But for all of you who have taken out time to be here, thank you so much. Aparna Ghosh is saying kudos for being a courageous mom, our common
Mhm.
friend. uh, we have
Yeah.
Naina Menon. She's a transgender woman,
Okay.
and she's been more than keen to hear what you have to share. Uh,
Okay.
she's also saying that society induced fears are the most common fears that people,
Yeah.
especially parents, have. And it's always
Definitely.
like, Sharma ji ka ladka aisa nahi karta, and being compared to one another, which is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
India is saying societal fear is the worst. And that brings me to a question to you, Nilakshi, that one is a parent internalizing it, right? But let's take a step back here. A child who suddenly starts to realize
Yeah.
that I am different, my preferences are not the usual that I see. What goes on in the mind of that child? How do you sensitize the child at the first step, that look, it's fine, but for that we need to sensitize. So how do we go about this?
Yeah, it is, Ekta, definitely quite a bit of a chicken and egg situation, because the child is still realizing, okay, and still articulating to himself or herself that I am probably different. And essentially, Ekta, we are all heteronormative and homophobic. We have been conditioned. Society has conditioned us to be like that. Okay, we believe that if we are different, then we must be exceptional, and we are not the norm. We are not normal. Okay, we are crazy. Something's wrong with us, and that it will probably pass. And there's something wrong with me at that moment when I felt this feeling, and it's not going to last. So children, when they have this kind of an experience for the first time, or feel this way for the first time, they go into a shell very often. Very few children have the courage to go ahead with it and find out more about it and accept themselves. So their journey of accepting themselves is a longish journey. Okay, so that takes a lot of time. For my daughter also, it took a lot of time, about 1.5 years, or 2 years, when she actually went inside a shell, she's already a quiet person. On top of that, she stopped communicating. So this often happens with children because they can't see themselves in the mirror in that same way. Okay, they are trying to see themselves and they see a different self, and that gives them a little anxiety, that gives them a little tension. They are not able to accept it themselves, leave alone share it with anybody else. So that's why very often children don't come out to their parents because they're not sure. पेरेंट्स कीप टेलिंग, पहले क्यों नहीं बताया? अभी देखो लड़की ढूंढ रहे हैं तुम्हारी शादी के लिए, तुमने पहले क्यों नहीं बताया? अरे वो लड़का तैयार नहीं था. You know, he is gay, but then he's realized it very late. When push comes to shove, then he has realized it. He has not realized it. Also, in our kind of society, normally, in our middle class society, exposure to contact with the other gender is sometimes limited. Okay, I hope you understand what I mean. It's not like in the West that from the beginning your sexual experimentation is very strong. It may not be so. So even for a slightly older boy, it may not be very easy to find out about his sexuality until it is very late. Okay, so it all therefore boils down to this, that because of social rejection and the fear of society, the child withdraws into a shell, and that's the biggest challenge. I think personally that that's the biggest challenge. After that, of course, comes all the other things which are like other external manifestations, like he may be changing his attitude, his dress sense, or the way he relates to the opposite gender, and all this may be cause for ridicule or comments or teasing or bullying. These are other experiences that a child who is trying to come out or is coming to terms with his or her sexuality feels. Okay, other than that, of course, the third and very very important aspect is a certain level of dysphoria which a child may or may not feel right from childhood. Some people who generally are this is associated with trans people, but not always. Okay, it can be with anyone who is maybe gender fluid or gender non-binary. He may start or she may start feeling that this is not the way I want to be. This is not who I am. What my parents are calling me. They're calling me a girl. They're calling me, they're dressing me up as a boy or whatever. They're asking me to go and play cricket and rough it up with the boys. And I don't want to do that. Okay, I don't feel right. That this is not me. This is somebody else. I want to be like my mother. I want to dress like her. I think she's beautiful and I want to be like her. Okay. Or the girl says, no, I want to shave like my father. So there are these things which are also there. These are some problems which children face. So first is rejection, second is definitely bullying and other social pressures, and third definitely is dysphoria, and the fourth one, of course, is not being able to open up to their parents. That gives a very very uncomfortable position to the child. Children are very close to their parents nowadays, especially in nuclear families. Okay, so they come and tell everything to the mother or to the father, and suddenly they're not able to tell because they themselves don't know how to articulate it to themselves. What are they going to tell the father or the mother? This gives them a lot of pain, you know. And I have seen it even in older boys, older children, older girls, when they are in such pain and they ask, Auntie, please tell my mother. Auntie, please help my mother. My mother is in distress. Auntie, she's too lonely. My father doesn't understand. Or my father understands, but my mother is not able to accept. Auntie, will you please talk to her? So these are the things, they feel that pain. That's another anxiety that is added to their own personal problems. Okay, and other than that, of course, there are psychological issues of depression, anxiety, which generally is a little high in this community, but not always. I wouldn't like to paint that kind of a black and white picture, but
Sure.
there is a bit of anxiety, a little more than perhaps other children. I mean, which child doesn't have anxiety issues nowadays?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have two children. I have an older daughter. My older daughter has also, I mean, there are so many times that we personally also face anxiety issues. Okay, but the world is like this. The world is very stressful. So people do feel like that, and some LGBT children do feel a little more anxious than others.
True. Um, you know, what I get from you is that kids do not open up to their parents, and they don't want to share, and suddenly a communicative child, quietens and doesn't talk about it, goes into his or her shell, or goes in its shell. Is it also because we as parents, as much as we love our kids, are a victim of the stereotyping that we, the baggage, the legacy that we've been carrying on our shoulders, that, you know, it is like this only. And we keep talking about these things, that a boy can only play cricket or a girl wears pink. So are we giving subtle hints to our kids that, what, if it is anything non-conventional, I am not open to hear you, and hence the child cuts themselves from that conversation with the parent.
Definitely, definitely. This is exactly what is the background to what I was telling you, that living with two, three generations of people in the house who are like older than us, we often carry this baggage to the children indirectly, right from their early life, when we give them the pink color dresses, when we give them the girls' toys, okay, when we don't give them the cycle at first, we give them a kitchen set, right? So like that, so I definitely find very encouraging things nowadays in shops. When I go, when I went to IKEA to look for children's stuff to give to a newborn, I found absolutely gender neutral things,
Gender neutral
filled
thing.
with filled with lovely animals and all, and no decided color this way or that. It really pleased me no end, and I bought so many of them, and I gifted them to this girl child who was born, without caring. I just thought of that child as a child, swaddled up in these clothes, and sleeping snugly in the outfits that I have chosen for her. So this is something that we have to definitely give gifts like this to the children that we meet, or we know that ये लड़की है तो हाँ उसका birthday है, चलो एक doll दे देते हैं.
Doll de
We have
dete
to
hain.
stop
True.
doing all that. We have to stop doing all that. Yesterday I was on a show in which somebody said that they asked a child, "Who are you?" The child said, "I am a he or a she." Can you imagine, Ekta? To hear that from an Indian child on the street just playing, "Who are you?" "I'm a he or a she." you know so yeah, the time has come. We are like, we are growing up in ways we can't even imagine. And we old fogies are going to be out, and the whole world is going to be, I mean, the whole of India is going to be vibrant with new people and young people in the rainbow colors. Okay, it's time for them to come out, I think, because we are a young population, and there are going to be so many of them who are now taking the courage to come out. Like someone in the comments is saying, "I'm learning these terminologies from my kids." So lovely to hear. Yes, I often give this example, that uh, just a few years ago, maybe 2 decades ago, they started the curriculum enrichment program, in which they started EVS as a compulsory subject. Okay,
Right.
do you remember? So it must have been somewhere in your childhood, or your teenage, etc.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was crazy. All the parents were doing EVS projects with their children. They were learning about things. The child was learning, and the parents were also learning now. Okay. And the child was telling, "Nahi, mummy, you have to carry a carry bag with you. When you go to the movie hall and the train and wherever, you can't drop the kachra like that. You have to put it in the carry bag and bring it home. You have to segregate the kachra, mummy. You have to put the dry and the wet separately." So, like that, children will sensitize us into these issues also. We have to accept new sexual norms, new gender norms, new relationship norms, okay, new work norms. Didn't we adjust? Didn't we adapt these 2 years to the new
Absolutely.
work norms? Didn't we do that magically? And we are still continuing. Some of us, we are even working from home now. Like we are now
Absolutely.
talking from home, enriching conversations. Could we imagine this earlier? No. So
Very true.
things happen. Things do happen. They take their time, but they happen. And we have to look upon our children as our teachers. We have
Beautifully
to
said that.
respect them. We have to respect them. Give them that space, that place which they so deserve. Okay, just because they are our children, they are in no way inferior to us. I'm so beholden to my daughter because she's the one who brought me to this world. Without her, I would have been half a person. My husband also feels the same way. He's there in the same room as me. Both of us feel that we would not have known so much about life, this other life, as well as this is life, really. A very, all embracing, all encompassing life. We would not have known about this rich life had she not been generous enough to share about her identity with us. Okay.
Absolutely.
I,
What you said is absolutely right. I remember a couple of months back hosting a 12-year-old girl on our kids platform who, at the age of 12, perhaps because she's had exposure to the Western world
yeah.
also, was quite vocal talking about human rights. And when you talk about the human rights, you're not just talking about a specific gender over here. She spoke about
Right.
human rights, she spoke about the LGBTQI community, and it wasn't that she was reluctant to talk about it. She was quite confident, comfortable, and she knew that not only are her parents watching her, her
Right.
extended family, her grandparents are also hearing to what views she is sharing. And that kind of gives you confidence that yes, the future ahead is adapting to all the changes that are happening. They are sensitizing themselves, they are sensitizing people around themselves. And I want to read out a comment over here. uh, this is from Nena again, and I can so relate to this emotion of hers. She's saying, "Ma'am, it makes me so happy to hear the terms like gender fluid from a person of my mother's age. The world needs parents like you. There are parents who just avoid knowing about these terms, thinking it's something abnormal. Parents should know these things. There is nothing abnormal. What is true is individuality and
Yeah.
nothing else."
Yeah.
And the books in school, starting kindergarten, portrays traits of a boy, traits of a girl.
Yeah.
That has to change. I remember being made fun of school when the book portrayed a dark skinned person ugly and fair skinned beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Bhatnagar is saying that, Nilakshi ji, you're giving so much in depth inputs, and it is so nice to understand the way you are describing the issues involved. But parents too are not experts on all the matters before them. They too need counseling. Absolutely right. And I think
Yeah.
these awareness sessions, whether it is by us or by any other platform, I think it is important. But more important is for people to accept that we are talking about this.
Yeah.
So that
All,
leads me to to understand, Nilakshi, from you, Happy Pride Month that we are in.
yeah.
What is it all about?
Yeah, I'll talk about it in 1 second. I just
Sure.
respond to Mr. Bhatnagar and say that, yeah, parents do need counseling. And, the problem is that, again, counseling has been so overloaded with stigma, that to get a parent to go to counseling is really a very big effort. Okay. So, in our generation, we have already started taking help. We took help when our daughter came out. We were already going through counseling for other reasons, but that really, really helped us see much more clearly, myself included. I was saying, I am this a person who knows a lot and all that. It's not like that, huh? But it was my own child, so I was as I told you, afraid. Okay, counselors definitely give you the right kind of counselors, however, definitely give you a
Absolutely.
lot of good inputs. And I cannot overplay the role of the counselor. It must be definitely insisted upon and highlighted that counselors do play a very effective role. And about this distinction between dark skin, fair skin, tall, short, all this is what we have made our society. I don't know what is normal. There is nothing normal, just like you said that there's nothing abnormal. There is nothing normal. Who is normal? So we have to just chuck this word normal out of our vocabulary. If we do that, then we will realize that we are just people, there's nothing like fitting into a norm. Do you and I fit into a norm, Ekta, just because we are
Not
Indian
really.
women? We don't. None of us will ever, because there isn't anything normal. And if we think that somebody is abnormal, there's something wrong with us. Okay, there's something wrong with our thinking, So that's the thing. Yeah. So if you want to know a little more about pride, I have a very beautiful kind of a couple of slides. Would you like me to share them?
Yeah, sure, please.
Yeah. So I recently did something on yeah, I did something on um, this topic, and yeah, are you able to see this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Yeah,
But before you go ahead, Nilakshi, I
yeah,
want to read out two comments. One
yeah.
is from Manju Khuller. She's saying that actually this is an awareness program for people like me, and I'm learning a lot. And there is a very sweet message from Nana. Please adopt me. She's telling you, please
Ooh,
adopt her.
so sweet, Naina, you're mine. Come to me. You're already adopted. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is Harvey Milk, who said it takes no compromise to give people their rights. It takes no money to respect the individual. It takes no political deal to give people freedom. It takes no survey to remove repression. And I've set this against his picture and the initial pride flag. There were many pride flags. So basically, what he wanted was respect, and therefore they agitated for it. And Harvey Milk, of course, later on died, but then the struggle continues. Gay pride is also called LGBT pride or LGBTQ pride, and it is an annual celebration usually held in June in the United States, sometimes at other times in many different countries of this community. And Gay Pride commemorates actually the Stonewall riots, which began in the early morning of June 28th in 1969, after the police raided a gay bar, Stonewall Inn Bar in New York City's Greenwich Village neighborhood. And Gay Pride typically involves many events throughout the month, and it usually culminates in a march, a march in which there are the people dressed elegantly and colorfully with colorful floats from the community, etc. The significance of Pride is that they wanted to broadcast, not only broadcast their sexual orientation or identity, but they wanted to really come out into the open and become politically active. You saw the first few lines spoken by Harvey Milk. They're all politically tinged, no? So every year the gay pride events are held in every country, and perhaps the most important was the 1978 one, when they started the rainbow flag. Now there were many editions or versions of the flag. This was one, so each of the colors stand for something, something like these spirits. Okay. Since the slide is self explanatory, I'm not dwelling on it, but there were generations of this flag. Lately, recently, they have started including the intersex community also. The flag, therefore, has changed. It's no longer a flat banner like this, but it has become like this. Okay, so the new pride flag is like this, made in 2018. And since 2021, the proceeds from the design go to a mutual aid based non-profit organization which helps transgender and queer people to spread awareness, etc. This is the newest version of the flag. I wanted you to see this one because you are accustomed to seeing a flat banner. No, this is actually the pride flag designed in 2021, where the yellow triangle with the purple circle in it suggests the progress flag, pride flag, and incorporates the intersex flag in it. Some other time I will be able to talk about all the different communities. Okay, today
Sure.
if we go start talking about it, then there will be no end. So I would like to now probably stop sharing and uh, talk again. Okay, the popularity of the pride, and the reason why they participated in the pride is, of course, because this was one way to assert their individuality. No one was looking at them. They were thinking that they were, as I said, abnormal, right? So there's only one way in which you can attract people's attention, and that is by coming out into the streets. So that is why they did it. Okay, and to dress colorfully to show their joy in their lives. Okay, they wanted to show that despite all of this, they still are happy people, and that's the way it is.
So, you've mentioned to us about how the acceptance is there, how we are trying to work towards accepting, be it the child or the parent.
Mm.
Once you have accepted, you are in consensus with the fact that the child is a rainbow child and you become a rainbow parent. Societal pressures will always be there. I mean, and as we can see from 1969 and we're in 2022, we're still talking about acceptance. We're still talking about, how people should respond to the community, how to be a friend to this community. So, what are the do's and don'ts? Because many a times when you meet someone of the community,
Yeah.
because you have never been sensitized. My first exposure to a member of that community was virtual, and so was the second. I have never met. Uh, okay, I have met, but I have met them in very different circumstances. Where again, like I said, the fear has been created. You see them walking on the street. Half of the
Hmm.
time, you are doubting whether they genuinely belong to that community or it is a pretense.
Yeah.
But how does one become a friend
Or an ally, right?
or an ally to a member of this society?
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to again share one slide from my screen. Okay,
Sure.
so this would probably help you remember better, and help me to tackle this topic even a little more in a little more lively manner. In this way, okay, don't ignore it. Okay, don't ignore the child when the child comes out to you. Don't say that I knew all along. I always knew you were like this. Don't tell them that it's a phase. Don't use an uncle or a chacha or a guru or a quack doctor or some kind of person to influence them and say, "Arey go na talk to her na samjhao na isko ye kya kar raha hai," that kind of thing. Instead, ask the child to be patient with you, to give you time to share resources maybe so that you can find out. Tell them simply that you love them and you believe them. Thank them for sharing this knowledge. Ask them what support they need. Commit that you will always be an ally. And when you are very curious about what they do and how they do things, go and find your own answers. Did anyone ever ask you, you are a heterosexual, did anyone ever ask you how do you have sex and would you like to answer it? No, na. Similarly, just let that community be, na. Don't bother how they have sex, just give them respect, basically. So when your child comes out to you, or your friend comes out to you, or someone you know who comes out to you, know that this is a huge sign of trust. Okay, respecting that trust, take off from that point onward, unquestioningly support that person, because society is not going to support. You are society. Okay, so if half of society like you, like his or her friends, start supporting him, his life will be that much better, her life will be that much better, you know
True.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
these are some of the do's and don'ts of rearing a child who is LGBT, or when a child comes out, what do you do?
I think whatever you said is totally resonating with me, and I'm sure with a lot of parents who are watching us or who would eventually watch this conversation, because the very first time that I hosted a transgender woman on our platform, what connected me to her was her poetry, right? But when I spoke to her, when she shared her journey with us, one could feel that pain, a pain that any one of us could also go through if we are not accepted the way we are. A very lame example, if I may give, Nilakshi, for the love of sari that both of us have. You
Yes.
know, uh, till a few years back, until that 100 sari pact had started to run all across the world, if a woman continuously wore a sari, she perhaps was considered as a benji.
Hmm,
You know,
hmm. Yeah.
little that people know that if you talk about the Indian professional attire, it is not an Indian suit, it is only a sari. So if someone wears a business suit in the Western world, it is equivalent to wearing a sari in the Indian context. That's our formal attire. But that's how we were viewed. So that acceptance now, if you see a woman wearing a sari, she no longer is a behenji. She is a classy woman who is power dressing. These are the words that are used for a woman who wears a sari and goes for a corporate meeting. So I think that whole stereotyping, that whole myth that has been engraved so deep within
Mm.
us needs to be shaken. We already are battling between the two genders, men versus women, or women versus women even. And here, a huge responsibility that has come on all of us to accept another set of community which you were never exposed to. It's like a rude shock that has come to people. But I think with a few good movies, I mentioned earlier that initially cinema did not
Yeah.
show them in good light, but with a few good
Right.
movies, where they have shown about gays, transgender, about how their families react and then they accept them. I think at the end of the day, every human, irrespective of the caste, creed, and gender, demands respect and empathy, and of course, love. And how difficult is it for all of us to actually extend these offerings to one another? I want to ask this question to everyone who's watching us, who will watch us. How difficult it is to accept. You may think that I'm just talking because I'm on a talk show. So I'm asking these questions. But please don't forget, I'm also a parent. And with the evolvement of the generation to generation, there is a lot that is changing. And as Nilakshi said, our kids these days teach us a lot more than we actually. And it always, kind of brings me back to one concept. Let's not teach our kids, let's mentor them, let's coach them, for them to view us also like that, so that there is a open flow of communication, which I think is the biggest roadblock
Correct.
when a child does not come and open up to the parent. And that's where the problem starts.
Yes.
This conversation is not just a conversation. With limited exposure and experience about the subject, but having read about a few, I've read a couple of interviews of Nilakshi about the struggle that your daughter went through at at a critical phase in her life, and all the other members of the community of a child who, who once mentioned that I am bi, but I don't think my parents will understand that. When you start looking for that comfort outside your home, I think there is a huge question mark. Nilakshi, thank you so much for sensitizing all of us. Sorry. But before I let you go, I want you to convey a message to all our viewers that how can we look at each other, not basis our gender, but as love for each other and humans.
Yeah, I always say that, just love and learn and lend support. That's what the three L's. That's all. Just do that, because you're on a very very short journey. God knows when you are going to leave this and end your journey. Okay, during that time, just love and learn more about others and lend support wherever you can. That's it.
Absolutely.
Basically,
I think this, that these two comments that I'm going to read out is, in a way, I won't say it's a victory for us, but I think our session is, kind of meets the purpose. Manju Kular says that what you said is totally true, very well worded. Hats off to you and the way you explain. Thank you so much for the entire conversation, also. And Sangeeta is saying that truly appreciate Nilakshi. Actually, she never thought about a support group needed for parents, also. And I think, Sangeeta, taking cue from what you said, why just have a parent support group for only the special needs, any kind of a special need, let me put it like that. Why can't just be a support to each other as a parent? And precisely why we started Motherhood Club, to express gratification to mothers, to hear each other's stories, learn from each other, unlearn from each other, and take guidance. Because I don't think a parenting book, which is mostly written by the Western world people,
yeah.
can have any direct bearing on our parenting, because our parenting is very different. But when you talk to a fellow mother who has a lot more experience, it definitely calms you, That one, you're not sailing alone. Two, they may have a solution for you. It could be your mother, it could be your friend, it could be your fellow mother of the same age group. So thank you so much, Nilakshi, for this amazing conversation. And I think for the Happy Pride Month conversation, I couldn't have thought of anyone better who would, you know, tell us things the way it is. But I can't let you go just like this. For all of our viewers, I also would like to tell you not only does Nilakshi have a great command over the language, but she's an amazing poet also. And I think you sing also some Bengali songs.
I
So
do.
I can't let you go without fulfilling two of these requests of
Oh
mine.
my. So you want me to read a poem? Thank you,
I
basically, very much, Ekta, for even thinking about having me on your forum. It just gives me such a lot of joy. It just makes my heart really swell with pride and humility at the same time to think that you thought me worthy of calling me, and this was really enjoyable. Listening to all your comments really opened my eyes, and also, yeah, it was a really wonderful opportunity interacting with so many parents here. I see that there are not only mothers, but there are fathers as well, which makes
yes,
me feel very happy and very grateful for all your involvement, very involved parenting. Okay, so I'll just read this poem. I don't know what I wrote. I don't have too much on this little mm, what do you call it? Notes of my new phone. Whatever little I have, I will read. I have this poem called "And the Day After and After and After and After." Okay. And it rained the day after, and the day after that, and yet after that, till it seemed doomsday drew near. But the peasant longed for it. His soil drank it up. On and on and on it went, swelling the gourd, forcing the mogra, jasmine, and bale, till they said, "Enough, you gods, shame us no more. Drenched in your waters, we quake, white and bare. Stop a while." But on it went. It went on and on and on, till the mountains melted, rivers of mud, the soil swollen, looked the mother it always was, pregnant with goodness, swollen with pride, and it rained on and on and on, as if in answer to the umbrella maker's prayers. And it rained for the flower girls and the boatmen brave. And all they did in the city was study the tidal wave that washed it over to meet the sea. No, the rain gods won't let you be. That's it.
lovely.
Being a Mumbaite, I just can't think of anything other than the
Rains.
rain.
Yes, absolutely.
Very,
With so much of rain happening there, please send some to Delhi also.
it's almost a violent rain that we have
I
here.
know. Yes,
But
I've lived there and experienced the
ah,
worst
ah,
of it.
ah. Oh, okay.
The
And it is,
2006,
yeah.
I think so, the 2005 big, huge battle where walking through the mucky water and, scared whenever your foot will go into a manhole or you're all fine, stuck in a taxi for almost 14 hours with no food, no water, and then with some ray of hope with the people around who are helping us. So, yes, I can relate to this.
Okay.
Song, a lovely song. Or you want to
Oh,
read another one?
no. I think I'll sing a little bit of a song, okay? Because I think I will not be able to sing the whole song. थोड़ा सा गा देती हूँ दो चार line.
Ji.
It is a song by Lata Mangeshkar. She sang many Bangla songs, okay, and most of them were either translated into Marathi or Hindi, or the either other way, like they were adaptations from Marathi or Hindi. So this one. This means let it be. This is enough for today. Okay, that's the meaning of the song. Hmm? We will talk again later. So this is my message to the group also. Okay. आज तबे टुकु था বাকি কথা পরে হবে। ধূসর ধূলির পথ ভেঙে পড়ে আছে রথ, বহুদূর দূর যেতে হবে। আজ তবে এইটুকু থাক, বাকি কথা পরে হবে।
Beautiful. So
Thank you
words
so
of
much.
the day भी include हो गया इसमें, poetry भी, and of course a lot of knowledge and information about an aspect that many of us are ignorant of.
Mm. I must thank Sweekar Rainbow Parents and Humsafar Trust for having organized the Prabal certification course, in which we learned so much in depth about the community. I have undergone two of these courses. Okay, so Sweekar parents get this advantage of knowing more about the community through certification courses. Okay,
Wonderful. So
yeah,
thank you so much, Dr. Nilakshi,
thank you.
to the founders of Sweekar and all the parents who have so gracefully and beautifully accepted their children the way they are. For those who are yet to try it, I'm sure the two-way love that exists between the parent and the child will eventually melt all the pressures of the society and would want you to be with your child in the way that your child wishes to be and not lead a life of pretense. That's all I would like to say in the end. Thank you, Nilakshi, from the entire team of Motherhood Club for being here and making us more knowledgeable, more aware about the LGBTQ community, about the Happy Pride Month. We'd love to hear more about this from you. So do keep sharing, and help us also sensitize ourselves towards this community. Thank you so much. And
Thank
for
you
all,
so much, everyone. Warm hugs to all of you, especially to you, Ekta. Thank you.
thank you so much. And for everyone, please stay safe. We're still not out of the danger. Don't forget to wear your mask. And if you feel like going outside and you can't, you don't have anything much to do join us at Motherhood Club. There are a lot of activities that keep happening over here. Some fun, some knowledge, something on health, wealth, and happiness. Do join us on a regular basis. Stay tuned for the next update from our side. Till then, stay safe, take care. This is Ekta Sehgal Malhotra signing off for today. And let's all stay safe till we meet again. Thank you, everyone. Take care.